What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I am here today with a review for The Haves and the Have-Nots. This is Season 8, Episode 1, and it's titled The Long Game, and this is also known as the final season of the show. Now, the thing that threw me off with this, I didn't know it was the final season, number one. I actually had to see on Twitter that it was the final season. And then the next thing that kind of threw me off was they changed the opening credits in the final season. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I wasn't a fan of the opening credits. I did see on Twitter that people liked it. I will say that, well, I will be honest, I did like the credits. You know, we got to see the actors and their, the actors' names. It was the music that I didn't like. I just didn't really like the music that much. But yeah, you guys, let me know in the comment section how you, I know, I know in my comment sections, from from last season, which is just a few weeks ago, I know people were over the show and hoping, saying that, the show has run its course, which I completely agree with you guys. The show has definitely ran its course. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think and feel about this being the final season of The Haves and the Have-Nots. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the episode review, shall we? All right, you guys, so I thought I was recording just a few minutes ago, and then I looked up and saw I wasn't doing jack but Jesus. So yeah, we're going to start the episode up, but before I even get into the episode, there's something that I do want to say. So since this is the final season of The Haves and the Have-Nots, I don't know when the Oval is supposed to return, but I will eventually add sisters to the lineup. I'm not going to do it now because the show is already in progress, so I don't want to jump in halfway into the season. Now if the show does take like a mid-season finale or something like that, then I might come back after the mid-season finale. I'm not entirely certain. But yeah, we will be adding sisters. So let's talk about this episode. And I'm going to get the small stuff out of the way, so bear with me. So the small stuff that I just want to get out the way that had no relevance on the episode, I don't feel, although it was a good episode to me, I still think we can do without this Landon. Excuse me, y'all. I think we can do without the Landon, Charles, and Oliver. I don't really 100% understand what they bring to the show and what their storyline is bringing to this, the show as a whole, because they're not connected to any of the characters. The only character that they're connected with is Candace, who we have not saw in this episode, and so I don't understand it. But Landon is on the phone with some lady, and he's talking about her trying to get an interview with Hannah about Candace. And I'm like, what the hell is this about? Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. And yeah, it didn't really make sense to me. Now, the one thing that I will say, though, however, is the bickering between Oliver and Landon. That shit has got to stop at some point because it's annoying. Like, Landon called Oliver a bitch, but I'm like, you a big bitch just like he is. So you both two big bitches. So who's the bigger bitch? Both of you are the same size bitch. What else with them? I know not Oliver, but Landon, told Oliver basically, and not so many unsold. Basically, in not so many words, Landon told Oliver not to fuck with him, and if he does, he'll reveal that he has a cocaine addiction problem. Then the lady that he sent to, get the interview from Hannah, I'll talk about Hannah in just a little bit. She went and tried to get the interview from Hannah, and she tells him, when I went there, I didn't believe, the things that you were saying, but after talking to her, I believe it. And then, he said it worked. So Oliver asked him what worked. He says, the fact that, she talked to Hannah, and all he wants is for Hannah to reach out to Candace. And Oliver's like, they hate each other. He was like, how do you know that? And I was thinking the same thing. How do you know that they hate each other? So yeah, they had a little back and forth with each other. And then, what's his name? Charles came in. Charles said he had a dream about Candace. He said she was inflamed. I'll be honest with you guys. And when it came down to the whole Landon, Oliver, and Charles situation, I wasn't really, honestly, I wasn't listening to the episode. I'm going to be quite honest with you guys because like I said before, when it comes to them, I just don't understand. I don't understand what importance they have. Maybe eventually we'll get to that. I don't know, but I just don't understand what the relevancy is with them. I don't understand what they bring to the show. I just don't understand it. But yeah. Not Oliver. Landon told Charles, well, why don't you reach out to her? Then Charles told Landon to catch a flight to go. Again, doesn't make sense. But that's it with those three. And let's move on. All right, so let's pick up where the episode actually opened up at. So you guys remember in this in the season finale of last season, Alyssa, you guys remember she was, throwing herself at David. She and David had sex in the room, and she was telling David that he was gonna buy her an apartment. But then she changed it and said, nope, it's gonna be a house. You guys remember, she slammed her arm in the door. She was running around the house talking about, he raped her. Then she ran outside and screaming rape. I was just like, oh, so this is what we're doing. Like, you do realize, and I'm gonna pause on what I was about to say and hold on for it. So, David comes outside and Leo's there. So he's telling Leo to get her in. Leo, however, ain't moving for shit. Leo is like, what are those guards? Those guards in like London, the ones that they just stand guard and they don't move, they don't talk. That's how Leo was. Leo was like he don't see nothing, he don't hear nothing. So David had to grab Alyssa, and I'm like, David, why are you grabbing her? That's what she wants. Like, you do realize you're putting a bruise on her arm, so don't grab her. If you're gonna grab her, well, I mean, I was about to say grab her by the hair. Damn, you can't grab her. Actually, you know what you could do? Pick her up. Because I was about to say, grab her by the hair, but if you grab her by the hair, then that's force. If you grab her by her dress, that's force, because you would rip it. So shit, the best thing you can do is just, bear hug her ass and just, take her inside. So they get inside and, she's laughing. This evil laugh. I'm like, girl, what the hell is wrong with you? Well, we found out what's wrong with Alyssa. So Alyssa was getting payback on David for her sister's drug addiction, and she's blaming David for it because, they got split up. That really, I mean, it's fucked up that y'all got split up, and it's fucked up that your sister, had her issues and, lost her life, but you really can't blame this man for what happened to your sister, unfortunately. So, she's like, she was talking about calling the cops. He was like, call the cops. She's like, I don't have my phone. He says, here's your phone. Call the cops. So, she calls the cops and they say, 911, what's your emergency? And David plays a recording of her spilling everything that she just said to him. And they said, 911, where's your emergency? And the audio was just playing. He said, yeah, I had a feeling he was up to something, so I recorded you all over the house. I got audio and I got visual. You want to see it? So she hangs up the phone. And then now she's all apologetic. And I'm like, girl, you don't know what you want to be. 1 minute you want to be vindictive, then now the next minute you want to be all docile. And, no. Stick with that. Stick with who you are. So he asked her once again, did Veronica send her? She says, I don't know that bitch. And then what else happened? So outside, Leo. Now this is what got me. So you guys remember I said that Alyssa was outside screaming bloody murder. Well, this just goes to show you the difference. I know this is not real, but it actually does kind of show you the difference between a white neighborhood versus a black neighborhood. Because, I mean, that was with the span of that wasn't even a span of 5 minutes, I would say. And the cops were already there. So the cop comes, he's talking about, we got a call about a noise complaint, a domestic abuse. Is there a woman around here? He said, yeah, Leo said, well, my boss, he has a visitor. He said, is she a female? He says, yes. He said, can I come in? So, David tells him and Leo and the cop to come in. So he says, "Is everything okay, ma'am?" She says, "Oh yes, we were just role playing. He likes to kind of rough and kinky." So he was like, "Are you sure?" She's like, "Do you want to take me in your car and make sure that I get home safe?" I'm like, "Girl, you don't waste no time trying to. You just you gonna hop from David to this man? Okay, if you say so." Um. So yeah, that's it on that one. I'm gonna pause here and move forward. All right, you guys. Next up is Wyatt. The crazy thing is I am doing this from memory. Like I barely looked at my notes. I guess because I just watched the episode, so it's all fresh in my brain. So you guys remember in the end of last season, Wyatt. You remember that lady? She was walking her dog, and she saw Wyatt's car door open, and Wyatt was there slumped over like that. So the cops are there. They're looking in the car. The car's registered to Jim Cryer, and then they were one of the cops was like, "I wonder if this is the guy that we've been looking for." And then she looked like, "Yep, Wyatt Cryer. This is exactly who we have the APB out on." And then, like I said in last season, in the last review, I knew Wyatt was not dead. Wyatt has more lives than a damn cat. So then the lady cop, she was, she called the station. I forgot what the black guy's name is. She calls him. She tells him like, "Hey, tell the chief that we got Wyatt Cryer and he's on his way to the hospital." He was like, "What happened?" She didn't tell him, and that's where that ends. Now let's move over to Veronica and Samuel. So you guys also remember season finale. Veronica and Samuel, they had sex. I don't believe that they had sex because Veronica's wig is still intact. Veronica's wig is still laid. If you had, and they say that they had good sex with both one another, but if you had that great of sex, first of all, why is your wig still on? Number one. Secondly, why is your wig brushed? Number two. And number three, why ain't your wig like, disheveled? Like, why don't you have bed hair? Like, you ain't got no kind of bed hair. Like, it should be pushed in on this side. Maybe your wig should be twisted like this or flipped like this. Your wig should be something, but your wig is still just as straight as ever. So somebody didn't put it down like they thought they did. Maybe Veronica doesn't have the wow that she thinks she has, or maybe Sam just didn't pipe her down well enough. But she's saying that they did, but whatever. So Sam is telling Veronica, "Oh, I think you're so sexy." He's like, "I have to really downplay it around my wife." And he said, "You want to know the moment that the most sexy thing that you did to me in front of me? When you pulled that gun." She's like, "Oh, so you like it a little wild?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, this is a little uncomfortable for me, just a little bit, because she's old enough to be like your mother." My neighbors, I can hear them talking. Um, so yeah, Veronica's ready to go for round number 2, and Samuel is like, "I got to get home to Laura." Actually, target practice, crash test dummy. And Veronica wants him to leave target practice, aka crash test dummy, aka Laura. He tells Veronica he ain't leaving his wife, and she says, "Well, she'll leave you." I'm like, ugh. All right. So they have a little back and forth with that. I was cool with that scene, but let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys. Next, let's talk about Hannah. So Hannah is, you guys remember, she is meeting with Marty and the accountants. I can't remember their names. Is it Don and John? Let me know if I'm correct. So they're having this meeting with Hannah. They're showing Hannah, Catherine's stock portfolio as well as the properties that she owns. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to force Hannah to sign off on, selling this property, selling this stock, selling XYZ. And Hannah's like, first of all, no. Second of all, I need to read this shit. Third of all, I need to go over this with Catherine. They're like, "We don't have time for that." She's like, "Make time." And I'm like, "Hey, y'all think because she's black and she's poor that she's dumb." I really am glad that Hannah said no. Because even Marty was like, Hannah, we don't have, I've read this over. They're right about this. No, sir. Just because you're a lawyer, don't mean shit. Like, yeah, it's nice that you read it over, but let me read it to make sure that, this is something that, is up and up. And then actually let me go over this with Catherine to make sure she's in agreement with this. I'm so happy that Hannah said no. Give her 24 hours to look at that stuff. And they were like, okay. So then as Marty, I think Don and John, as they're leaving, those two tell Marty that, since Catherine is in jail right now and, he needs to go to a judge and have her declared incompetent. Why would you, now Marty didn't catch a red flag right there. Like, why would I declare her incompetent? Because she gave her maid, who's a black woman, her power of attorney. That makes her incompetent. Okay, racist, but okay. I don't know how that's incompetent, but I can see how y'all are racist. So now, since Marty told them no, they decide that they want to go to the gym. I'm like, oh God, this racist bastard. Okay. So then we see Hannah. So Hannah goes home, and you guys remember I was talking about the lady Lisa that called Landon back. Well, Lisa was outside of her home, and she was saying that she lived next door to her, and she was asking to borrow some sugar. And she's like, people still do that? I'm like, now in my hometown, in my neighborhood where I used to live, yes, we would still do that. Like, because in my neighborhood where me and my mom used to live, we had been living there for so long and we knew our neighbors. So we were cool with asking them like, yo, you got some sugar? Can we have some? When we go to the grocery store, we'll, give you the same amount of sugar that you gave us. Like, measure that shit out and we'll give you, give it back to you. So now, where I live at now, ain't no way in hell I'm finna ask nobody for no goddamn sugar. No. So then Hannah was like, wait a minute. Where'd you say you lived? She says right next door. She was like, that's Miss whatever her name is. She's like, what is her first name? She's like, she couldn't tell because she don't know the woman's first name. So then Hannah says, girl, who are you? And she says, well, I'm a reporter from Washington. So then she started asking her questions about, Candace, about, her son. Did he die when she was trying to shield him? Did she put Candace out of the house at 14 and stuff like that? But she didn't get nothing from Hannah. Hannah went in the house and closed the door in her face. All right, yeah, I'm going to pause here and we're going to keep moving forward. All right, you guys, and then Catherine. So Catherine, still in jail. And the girl next to her, I forgot what her name was, but she's fucking with Catherine, telling Catherine that Catherine is going to need her. And Catherine's like, girl, why would I need you? She says, because when you go to prison, like, I got all the connections and you got money. So we need each other. If I was Catherine, I would have told her, go to hell. Fuck you. Suck a dick. Kiss my ass. Whatever. I would have told her, go straight to hell. So then the little black cop, again, I can't remember what his name was. So he comes into the cell where Catherine is. He tells her that they found Wyatt and that he tried to commit suicide. She's like, I already know that. He says no. When he was here in the jail, those were superficial wounds, but they found him, and these wounds were deeper. But again, whatever. I'm not gonna go. The cuts. Never mind. Let's not even talk about it. So then she asks him, can she call her lawyer? He says no. And then she says, whatever your salary is, I'll have it in your account by tomorrow morning. I just need to make a phone call. He tells her once again no. And then, she says, I just need to talk to my lawyer so I can, figure out what's going on with my son. He says, okay, well, I'll consider it. And then he says, the chief, once the shift change starts, he'll leave and I'll figure out a way to try to get you to a phone so you can make a phone call. So then we see Sam. So Samuel calls Derek, and he's calling Derek to ask him to cover for him with, what's her name? Target practice. Crash test dummy, Laura. So he says, you know what, I've already done that. He says, we went to a bar, had a few drinks. He says, where were you? He says, I was with Regina. He says, you a lie, because Regina called as well. Where were you? He said, I was with this new chick. He says, and you didn't think to tell me? He says, so what about like how things with Veronica? He says he's making some leeway with her. Derek asks him, are you sleeping with her? He says, nah, I ain't sleeping with that old woman. Yes, you are sleeping with that old woman. So then he says, Derek tells him what bar they went to. So he goes home and target practice, aka Crash Test Dummy, aka Laura, she's there. Comes to the door with some nice little bra and some panties on. I'm like, oh, she look good, and she got a banging body. So, she ready to get it on. She's like, where were you? He says, I was at the bar. And, she was like, do you not see what I got on? He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm really tired from being at the bar. Girl, I don't even need my notes for this. She's like, you don't see what I got on? He's like, he said, did she give that to you? She says, yes. He says, that's a turnoff. And I'm like, Laura, Crash Test Dummy, target practice. How stupid are you? What man, and I preface this loosely, what man, if his woman has a banging body, sexy, lingerie on, I don't give a fuck who gave it to him. I don't give a damn if well, actually, yes, I would care if a homeless person gave you some lingerie, because I don't know what you got. I don't know what the homeless person, where they got that from. So that would be the only instance. If you said somebody off the street gave it to you, I'd be like, yeah, no, take that off and wash it. Take that off, burn it, do whatever. But if someone else gave it to him, I'm not gonna be like, ooh, that's a turnoff. I'm like, nah, let me see that ass, something. But he's turned off. And then he goes take a shower, and I'm like, you didn't catch that sign, did you? He went to a bar. You want to have sex, but he needs to take a shower. Now, granted, he has been working all day. Yep, target practice is just stupid. Like, I don't know how she didn't catch them signs, but whatever. She's stupid. Let's move on. All right, you guys, and then let's close the episode out with Miss Hannah. So we see Hannah, she makes it over to the Cryer's house. It's the next morning. So when she gets to the door and she unlocks the door, she gets a phone call. She answers the phone. She thought it was Candace, but it wasn't Candace. It's actually Al calling her. And, he's asking her how did things go. And she's like, she had a long night. She didn't really sleep. And she was blindsided by the reporter. And then he asked her, how did the meeting go? She says, well, the meeting, oh shit, that hurt like a motherfucker. Ow. Okay, maybe I can't put my ring on my, that's so funny that I can't put my ring on my ring finger, but that's the finger that goes on. She tells him that the meeting went okay. And then, he's once again asking her out on a date. She is kind of ducking and dodging at this point. So then we see her later, and she's in the house, and oh, that hurts like a son of a bitch. That is tight. I'm not gonna be able to get this off, am I? All right, so yeah, she's at the computer, and I don't know what she's doing. I know she's researching what John, I think that's their name. She's researching what they gave her. And then she hears someone comes in the door, and she's like, who's there? And lo and behold, it is Derek there. And that is actually where the episode ended, you guys. So, in the comment section, let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Let me know how you guys feel about this being the final season. Also, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell button, and share this video. And until the next one, you guys, do me a solid favor out there. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, wear your mask, socially distance, wash your hands, whatever. What else is there? Wear your mask, social distance, and wash your hands. And I'm gonna do the week's hottest topics tomorrow morning, so it should be up tomorrow. And if I don't say it in that video, I want to say it in this one. I hope you guys, because you guys will be getting Real Housewives of Salt Lake City tomorrow, but that video has been pre-recorded for days. It's been pre-recorded since Saturday, so I didn't say it, but I'm saying it now. I hope you guys have a safe and wonderful Thanksgiving, And I will see you guys again for the week's hottest topics, which will be up tomorrow, like I said. And then I won't see you guys anymore until Friday for Life After Lockup. So until Friday, you guys, bye. And once again, you guys, have a happy Thanksgiving.